Hey everybody. Can everyone hear me okay? Just give like a thumbs up or something like that. Cool. Yeah, face level thumbs. Amazing. I actually know some of your faces, but I don't know some of your faces. Just to break the ice, if you wouldn't mind just writing in the chat like where you're tuning in from. You don't need to be specific. Don't drop your address. Just like say, I'm in Florida, I'm in Arkansas, I'm in Alabama. Hey, someone is in Florida. South Carolina. Cool. Tap dancers all over the world. I love it. Um, well, hello. My name's Caleb Teicher. I use they, them pronouns. And I'm so excited that YoungArts has put together this specific info session because I grew up and am still a tap dancer like the rest of you. And YoungArts was one of my most beautiful, most lovely, most important choices I made with my education and my experience as an artist. I did tap festivals when I was younger. I had a teacher who I really believed in, who gave me great training. But there was something about YoungArts that really felt like a really meaningful, really important experience. And it doesn't say in big letters all the time, tap dancers apply here, as much as a tap festival does. However, tap dancers apply here. It is like one of the most beautiful things you'll ever do. So you're all here, so I feel like I don't have to, convince you too much to take interest in this program, but just to give you a little bit of what you might experience. YoungArts is a community that catches you at this age in your artistry, right? You have developed skills, you've developed technique, you're starting to maybe perform in a student company, maybe you're starting to do solos at competitions. And YoungArts catches you at a place where you really need mentorship, you really need community, and you really need something to inspire you to continue your artistic journey, no matter what that is. Say you want to be a tap dance soloist, say you want to be a choreographer, say you want to be a teacher. YoungArts is there to empower you, to connect you to other people who are equally passionate about what they do, and to give you support, not just as a teenager, but actually for the rest of your time as an artist. So my story is that I was 16 and I was going through a summer tap program, actually the tap program at Jacob's Pillow, and someone said, "Wait, you're 16. Have you heard about this program? It's called YoungArts, and you should apply." And they gave me a little sheet that had two sides and said, "You can win money." And I said, I could use some money. Being a dancer is expensive. And if I have more money, I can take more lessons and I can travel to more festivals and I can have some money to invest in my artistry. So when I got back from that festival, I went to my local dance studio. I don't even think I had an iPhone yet. I don't even think we were there yet. Maybe I put an actual digital camera. I'm old. An actual digital camera on an actual tripod and just filmed the two required videos for application, a 2-minute video of technique and a 2-minute solo. And then I promptly forgot about it. And then 3 or 4 months later, I got this call saying that I had won a certain level within YoungArts. And that level ultimately led to me receiving money, $5,000. Which was super helpful as a young person trying to do the dance thing, and it also connected me to other tap dancers who were in the YoungArts sort of class that year. But it also connected me to people who were passionate and incredibly talented in other disciplines. My favorite thing about YoungArts is that it connected me to people who were equally talented, equally dedicated, equally passionate, but they were vocalists, opera singers, filmmakers, jazz musicians, classical musicians, visual artists, budding fashion designers and architects. And that in many ways is probably the most beautiful thing that happened to me. I love tap dancers. I love tap dance, but meeting other people who were as sort of intensely passionate as I was, but did something completely different, that was so inspiring to me. After that experience, I was able to take part in a number of different programs that are tied to YoungArts and tied to being a YoungArts alum and being part of the YoungArts community. This included gigs, performances. Young Arts would say, hey, we have this performance in Miami. We want to have jazz musicians and an opera singer and an actor and a tap dancer. How you doing? It's been a couple years, but let's give you this opportunity to collaborate and perform. That was beautiful. I've had the opportunity to come back and perform under really phenomenal people, including a modern dancer and choreographer, Bill T. Jones. I actually ended up working as Bill T's assistant director because of my connection to Young Arts. Ultimately, a couple years later, I came back and directed a program at Young Arts. I have projects that are not under the umbrella of Young Arts, but are connected to people I met through Young Arts. There's a pianist that I work with all the time. His name is Conrad Tao. He was a Young Arts. He's a Young Arts alum, and we actually didn't meet our year during Young Arts, but we both knew we were Young Arts alums, so we connected because we sort of knew we were in the same community. Yada yada yada. It's been a really transformative part of my experience. As much as any tap festival, as much as any private lesson, as much as any performance, I would hazard to say that Young Arts has been the most impactful thing I've chosen to do with my time and energy. I try to sell this on you really hard because applying, I understand, is really tedious, right? I'm sure a lot of you are looking into colleges and taking SATs or applying to arts high schools or applying to summer programs, and everything needs an application. Everything needs you to do this and that. Or perhaps this might be the case. A lot of tap dancers don't have the sort of experience applying to program after program after program that other dancers do. I urge you, I'm going to look directly in the camera. It is totally worth it. Power through the application and the 2 videos. I know y'all are really good at making videos now because you're like young and hip and TikTok is a thing. So I encourage you to stick with it even when the deadline is due and you really just want to go outside and hang out. I encourage you to take the time to really put together the application and sort of invest in yourself. Cool. Before I go on, I'm just going to see if there are any questions. There aren't so far. Oh, actually, I see a hand.
What's the application requirements now? Like, what do you have to send in and stuff?
Perfect. Great segue. Thanks, Caroline. It's actually a really easy application in terms of how applications go. So I'm going to go over the requirements right now. First and foremost, you should make sure that you're eligible. Eligibility has to do with your age and your grade. In order to apply, you must be either between the ages of 15 and 18 or be in grades 10 through 12 on December 1st of this year, right? So if you are 14 right now, but your birthday is before December 1st, that means that you will be 15 by December 1st of this year, which means you're good to apply. Unfortunately, if you're 18 right now and you turn 19 before December 1st, that means that this opportunity you're catching just a little late. But I imagine it seems like a lot of you, I'm just gonna hazard a guess that a lot of you are here and have probably figured out that you're the right age. Yes, and Dejha's writing in the chat, requirements are also available on the website. So first and foremost, that's the first thing. Are you the right age? Seems like everyone's nodding in agreement, so that's really good. The second thing is that I don't see anyone who seems to be internationally here. No tap dancers from Japan or anything. You know, that happens. Tap dance is a many splendorous international thing. I believe, and Dejha and Neidra can confirm this, you have to be in the United States. You can be a U.S. citizen. You can be a permanent resident. You also can be DACA. There are lots of ways to qualify for this experience, which is reserved for American teenagers. But that encompasses all the things that Americans are, which is great. And Dejha, Neidra, if I didn't factually do that, just
you don't actually have to be in the U.S., but you have to be a citizen or permanent resident or legally able to receive taxable income in the U.S. But you could be in Japan, but a citizen of the U.S. and still apply.
The sun is moving in my apartment, so I'm lowering the shade. Great. Thanks, Neidra. So that's the sort of businesses out of the way. The last thing, that sort of hurdle to jump over, is that there is a $35 application fee. If that is something that you can't swing, totally fine. There's a very simple waiver that you can fill out to make sure, and you essentially have a letter that says, hey, I can't pay the $35, and the fee is waived. I should also mention, for those of you who are multidisciplinary in your practice, if you want to apply in different categories, meaning you want to apply as tap dance and also as jazz piano, 1, good for you. 2, you would have to pay the application fee for each discipline that you apply in. However, if you get the fee waived in one of the categories, then the fee is waived across the board. I can actually let you know that when I applied for tap dance and I applied for choreography. I did not win for choreography. It worked out anyway. But I was a YoungArts winner in tap dance. And I know about previous applicants who have applied in modern dance and tap dance, or ballet and tap dance. There are really lots of different ways to put it together. I'm going to focus on the tap dance part of this for this Zoom, because we're all here for that reason. Before I go into the application requirements, I'm just going to remind you that anytime you want, you can write in the chat any questions and we can get to them in time. You don't have to wait for a moment to raise a hand or anything like that. Cool. Nice thumb. Great. Lovely thumbs. Cool. Great. Now let's talk about the application. I'm just going to read them out and give you a little bit more background on the business, which is how the adjudication panel understands that you are a talented young person. So the first video is 2 minutes of tap technique. Jesse, I'm just seeing your question. I'll totally get to it. So the first video is 2 minutes of tap technique. I'll just read it out. It says, this segment should be done a cappella, meaning no music. So no metronome, but this segment should demonstrate your broadest and most advanced range of technical and musical abilities, incorporate solid grounded steps, including cramp rolls, paddle and roll, upper register steps, wings, pullbacks, and steps that turn and travel. I think a lot of you have spent a lot of time in tap class and probably have a bevy of, or like a little basket of exercises, maybe from teachers, maybe from things you've seen online, maybe from festivals, and you can just put those together and make essentially a really concise 2 minutes of technique. I think you know what quote good tap technique looks like. We're looking for clarity of sound. We're looking for something that stays in time. We're looking for something that shows your sort of confidence and comfortability, and some feeling that you have a sort of technical capacity that shows that you're prepared for an opportunity like YoungArts. So at the beginning, it says you should establish this time signature and tempo by verbally counting yourself in. It says starting with 1. I know some of you start at 5. For now, let's just say you start a 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think you'll get disqualified if you count in 5, 6, 7, 8. But why not humor the application and count in 1, 2, 3, 4? I'm making a joke about this because tap dancers are forever talking about whether or not you should count in 5, 6, 7, 8, or 1, 2, 3, 4. In my experience, I do both and I never really think about it. So whoops. So the segment of technique should include a 32-bar chorus with the following. The first 16 bars should be split into 2 8-bar phrases using a 3 and a break form. I think a lot of you are familiar with this. If you're looking for a song that you can sort of sing in your mind, that's a 32-bar chorus. I was actually going to use I Got Rhythm, except I Got Rhythm has a 2-bar tag at the end. Lots of songs are a 32-bar chorus. Look for sort of the traditional jazz songs that you take tap class to, probably like Blue Skies or All of Me or things like that. Again, this section should be done a cappella, but if you're looking for something to keep the form in your mind, that is really important. Finally, the end of this 32-bar chorus should be improvisation. So part of the technical the technical adjudication is looking at you as an improvising dancer. As you all know, improvisation is a major part of being a tap dancer. I'll admit that I don't feel as confident as an improvisational dancer as I do doing choreography. So do your best, forget the rest. It's okay. Luckily, it's on video. So if you do a really whack, as the term would go, improvised solo, just try it again. Yeah, so great. I'm going to get to the 2 questions in the chat after I talk about the 2-minute solo of your choice with a clear beginning and ending. I know this is probably something that you are more prepared to do to some extent than the technique, because you're probably not presenting your technique super often, but you are presenting probably a short solo or something you've choreographed. The most important thing is that it adhere to the time restraint, right? Don't send an 8-minute solo. Don't send a 30-second exercise. Please adhere to the 2-minute mark. I imagine your bells are ringing in your head and saying, I have a solo that's 2 minutes and 30 seconds or 2 minutes and 5 seconds. Is that okay? I'm going to say, yeah, it's okay. 2 minutes and 5 seconds. I don't think you'll be disqualified. Neidra or Dejha can jump in. I think it's okay. But what we're trying to say with 2 minutes is that it should be 2 minutes, not 3 minutes, not 5 minutes, not 20 minutes. Also, it should be just you in a dance studio, clearly in the frame, with the music and the taps sort of focused clearly enough that that you can be heard, you can be seen, you can be understood as an artist, right? I think after this year, we've all gotten really good at the whole dancing for video thing. So I trust y'all are prepared to do that. Before just a couple more things just to write down. Also, all these application requirements are on the website, so feel free to take notes now. And feel free to ask questions, but also I'm the type of person that likes to read things as well as hear them. So feel free to look them up on the website afterwards. You don't have to wear a costume. In fact, don't wear a costume. Please wear whatever you feel comfortable dancing in your studio. This used to say tights and leotard. It does not say that anymore. So we're all good. Ha 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 ha. Shoot straight on. You don't need a gimbal. You don't need a steady cam. You don't need a light show. We are actually just trying to see you dancing, right? And we want, of course, as you know, you want to be seen and heard. We want to see and hear you, right? So make sure that the music is not too loud so that you can hear the taps. Make sure the taps aren't too loud so we can hear the music and how those sort of go in tandem. Make sure it's not too dark. Make sure you stay in frame. Make sure you're not super, super tiny on the frame. All those things, they seem pretty straightforward, and y'all seem like really intelligent young people. So I'm just going to go ahead and assume that you're feeling good about those requirements. In terms of if you're looking for sort of hot tips about what you should do, I'll just say from my experience, I did a self-choreographed solo. It was really the only solo I had at the time. I didn't have a solo that was choreographed on me by a teacher or anything like that. I think the most important thing is that you perform something that you feel is an expression of you. I wouldn't try to game it and say, oh, they probably want to see something that's super fast and super dense, or I'm sure they want to see something that is an homage to this particular style of tap dance. I encourage you, this is just my personal opinion, I encourage you to do whatever feels like an expression of you as a dancer, right? If that's a soft shoe, great. If that's like a Latin jazz 2-minute thing that's kind of beboppy and cool, great. If it's a swing and routine, great. I think the quality of your dancing will shine through and can shine through in so many different ways. I won't name this dancer, but there was a young dancer that I knew who applied to YoungArts one year and didn't make it. Wasn't accepted into the program, and said, "Do you have any advice?" And I said, "Well, how did you feel about the solo that you chose?" And this person said, "I liked it. And I said, why don't you choose a solo next time you apply that you just love dancing? And sure enough, this person successfully applied and was a Young Arts winner the following year. So I totally understand. I saw both solos. The first solo, it did seem like the type of thing that was like very impressive, very, very exciting, lots of flashy stuff. And the second thing was a little bit more subdued, but it's just about what you connect to. And when you connect to something, we can connect with you. Cool? Thumbs? Great. Amazing. Anyway, so I'm happy to look at these questions that have come through, and then we can sort of let it dissolve into a larger question having session. So the first question from Jesse is, can the solo be improvised? The answer is yes, mostly because I'm going to guess that in most scenarios, the adjudicators won't necessarily know whether or not the solo is improvised or choreographed. I would encourage you to do whatever you feel most confident in. So if you're more comfortable improvising than you are choreographing a solo, then that can represent your solo portion. That's actually a great question and not something I would have thought of. So thanks for bringing it up, Jesse. Yeah, I think that's totally okay. I think all the same rules apply. We want to hear you. We want to see you. We want it to be 2 minutes-ish. If it's 1 minute and 59 seconds, that's okay. If it's 2 minutes and 6 seconds, that's okay. Again, I think it's just about doing whatever you feel most comfortable and confident in. I just want to say, I don't think you get extra points for improvising your solo. I don't think you get negative points for improvising your solo. I think it's just about, if that is the thing that feels like your most comfortable and confident way of presenting your dancing, then go for it.
I will just add to remember when it's improvised that you still have thought about beginning and ending. That's it. And
thanks, Vernon. Someone slid into my DMs and said, is breakdance possibly in Young Arts? I'm actually not sure. Dejha, Neidra, Vernon, can you confirm? I believe that hip hop has always been part of the discipline of Young Arts. So is there a place to apply as a breakdancer or as a breaker?
The only place that it would fit under is hip hop, and you would have to follow those hip hop requirements. So it's not quite breakdancing, no.
Charlotte asks a great question. Does it need to be filmed in a studio, or can it be in a home space, 5 foot by 5 foot board? Vernon, Dejha, and Neidra can confirm this. I believe that's fine. I understand access to a studio is not always the easiest thing to have available, particularly after this last year of a pandemic. So I believe that is acceptable. Of course, my own personal artistic advice would be that you try to make your movement as dynamic as possible in a small space. Of course, if you're on a 5 foot by 5 foot board, then you can't travel through space. But I also know that tap dancers are incredibly creative with restraints. And restrictions. So I encourage you to get creative and find ways to move and groove in your small space. I see more in the chat, but up. Go ahead, Caroline.
When are the applications due, and when do you typically hear back?
Totally. Let me not misquote. Neidra, Dejha, if you have it up quicker than I do, I'm sure you do.
It's October 15th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. So that is 8:59 Pacific. Just remember, it is in Eastern time. All winners are announced and posted to our website by the beginning of December. So they close on October 15th, and then we have several rounds of adjudications, and then they will be announced by the beginning of December. And that's all levels.
Cool. And I just want to say, don't wait until the fall school year starts to start your application. Just bang it out this summer. You know, I was the most procrastinator, but like, you don't want it to be October 15th at like 10:30 p.m. and you're trying to, you know, make sure that the camera's straight. Just do it this summer. I know you have time. Get it done. Anyway, I see Courtney Jones's hand up. Courtney.
Hi, I'm sorry. I jumped in my car. I hope you guys can hear me. I was just going to listen, but I'm a teacher in Houston, and I have students that like to apply to Young Arts. I wish they had participated in this, so I'd like to ask a couple of questions to take back to them for this fall semester. One being for TAP specifically, would you recommend when we've had some TAP submissions and they've used music and we've tried to mic it so you can really hear those crisp sounds, would it be recommended to even do the performance solo in a cappella, or are there any recommendations with regards to mics and how to make sure they're sounding clear? And then do y'all have any say on how many tap or world dance, or I know there's typically contemporary and modern and ballet. I'm actually a former modern dance. No, sorry, I didn't play. I placed in modern, but I won in choreography a long time ago. So things have definitely changed since I was there. So I wasn't sure if with regards to world dance, tap dance, hip hop, which I'm so happy is a part of it now. Is there an amount of we to pick? I think there was a time where it was 20 winners and this many, and if there's a breakdown in that way. Thank you so much.
Totally. Thanks for your questions, Courtney. I'll just jump in and say, I believe, and Dejha and Neidra can cut me off if I'm incorrect, that doing an a cappella solo as your solo of choice is totally fine. It's a great way to make sure that you are seen and heard effectively. I know that some people are really scared of taking an a cappella solo, so they will probably just put in the effort to make sure they can be heard with the music and things like that. But if you're feeling good about an a cappella solo and you have something that you feel is a really good expression of your dancing, totally acceptable. I actually believe a lot has changed since 2011, 10 years ago when I was a Young Arts winner. But there was someone my year who I believe successfully applied and became a Young Arts winner with an a cappella solo. So that's the first thing. The second thing, which Dejha, Neidra, Vernon, everyone can confirm, is that there is no quota for the number of tap dancers, which is why I'm so excited that there are so many of you here today. Of course, the number of people who can win each level of recognition is capped, but it doesn't say, great, we're looking for 1 tap dancer or we're looking for 5 tap dancers. If 10 tap dancers apply and their talents is just sensational and it's just an amazing year to be born and to be a tap dancer, then you all have the potential to apply and be recognized by Young Arts. My year, there were 3 Young Arts finalists in tap dance and a couple more Young Arts alum that year who were merit or honorable mention winners. In other years, there's only been 1 finalist and 1 merit winner. In other years, there has been no one, like last year. And I know it's really just about making sure that people apply, and show their best on the recording, because as someone who's out and about in the tap dance world, I know that there is enough talent in the tap dance world to fill the roster of Young Arts every year. So it's just about putting together a really excellent application that expresses your artistry. Same goes for all the programs. I remember actually the year I was a Young Arts winner, there were 3 Mexican folklorico dancers and they were phenomenal. And that is not something that happens every year, but it was so incredible that they all applied and all were finalists, because I am actually still in touch with them. I'm still following what they do, and they were incredible. Courtney, I hope that answered your question, and it's cool to meet another alum. And Vernon, Dejha, Neidra, sorry for hogging the mic so much. I'm just so stoked to talk about Young Arts.
You're doing amazing. Neidra, did you want to say something about?
Yeah, just that there is a cap on the finalists for all genres of dance. So that cap is usually around 20. But as Caleb said, there's not there has to be 2 tappers, there has to be there's no cap within those genres. And then actually honorable mentions and merits are unlimited. So those can be as many as the panel decides that they want to award. And that is also, there's no, between the genres, there's no established cap for those as well. So finalist is the only one with the cap.
And Courtney, we just looked it up and you are a 1999 Dance and U.S. Presidential Scholar in the Arts.
That is really a long time ago.
Sorry for dating you. But a U.S. Presidential Scholar in the Arts. Tonight we actually have our performance of 2021 U.S. Presidential. You are part of an incredible group. And you did mention that you wish that your students were here to listen to this right now. We do presentations. So we'll make sure that we connect with you afterward if you just want to DM us, and we'll arrange for a presentation to your class or to your students.
Yes, we've had one in the school year in the fall, I think. And I used to come back for years as an RA and do some things with you guys. So
that's amazing.
It's a great family, but I'm getting older, so I have to keep up with the young folk and what they're doing.
Well, the last thing I'll say is that, since you were in the program, we've expanded our mission, and now all artists receive a lifetime of support. So once you're selected as a Young Arts Award winner, and this goes for everybody on the call, you will continue to get professional development support, access to spaces, artist residencies, funding, awards throughout your entire career. That means no matter where you're at, you can always call on this community to help and to offer support. And so that's really important to know, that this is just the beginning of a lifetime of initiatives.
Courtney, are you on Young Arts Post, Courtney?
I am. I'm all up in it.
I have two more questions that came to my DMs. The first is a good, easy question. Do you know exactly when Young Arts Week is? I think this person's asking for the date of when Young Arts Week happens. So there are multiple levels of recognition you can receive. If you become a Young Arts finalist, you get an all expenses paid flight, hotel, food experience in Miami, where you get to be mentored one-on-one. You get to perform alongside the other dance finalists, and you get to watch performances by the finalists in all the other disciplines. And when is that week? Are those dates on the calendar, Neidra, Dejha, Vernon?
Yeah, go ahead, Neidra.
Oh, sorry, can't unmute myself. It's the 9th through the 16th of January.
Great. So hopefully you're still on summer vacation, or what summer vacation? Winter vacation. If you're on Australia, you're still on summer vacation. I had a question that was, what do you feel are some good qualities to be able to succeed in the program? They're actually listed on the form, but I'll give some personal spice to it, and I'll actually would love to kick it to Vernon. It says reviewers and panelists, the people who decide your level of recognition through Young Arts, are looking for, of course, technique. Someone who's dedicated themselves enough to, in this case, tap dance, to show that they are serious about progressing as an artist and sort of contributing to the art of tap dance. Presentation, it's about the presentation of oneself physically at a standard recognized in this dance form. So of course, tap dancers can present themselves in so many different ways. That's the beauty of tap dance. But we are hoping to see your personal sort of stylistic choices. And I'm sure you are all finding this now. You say, oh, I have a lot of great technique. I have a lot of good steps, but now I'm trying to decide what to do with those elements of my dancing. You don't have to be a full-fledged, seasoned performer yet, but we're trying to see where you're at with your artistic development. Musicality and phrasing. I know you know, tap dance, name of the game is musicality and phrasing and interpretive choices. And sort of all-encompassing artistry, the creativity and sincerity of the performance, which arouses a response within the viewer, which is why I said super important to present material that you feel connected to. Don't do something because you think the adjudicator or the panel will like it. Do it because you feel connected to it, and we will most likely feel connected to it with you. Vernon, do you want to add anything? I know you've seen so many people come through YoungArts over the years. And
yeah, I mean, everything that you just said, plus I just want to do the pitch again that we're on your side. It's not like there are these judges, this scary thing where we're trying to get rid of people. We're trying to include as many people as we can. And, you know, the panel and I spend quite a little amount of time discussing each and every person that has submitted. And it's painful and it's beautiful because all of us on the panel were like, we want to bring everyone that we possibly can in. So we're just looking for all of the things that Caleb just said, but also just to see that spark of you that we can't stop thinking about after the 79th or the 80th video we've seen that day. That's the thing that, you know, there's people that we just can't get out of our minds because they surpassed all of the requirements and all of that. And then it's just like, we want to see who you are. And if you are performing something that is just wonderful and joyous and that's just, it's done. You've got it. So.
I'd also like to throw in, I see another question in the chat, but when I was a YoungArts winner and went to Miami and met all these other people, I had what might be referred to as imposter syndrome. I suddenly felt really humbled by the experience. I mean, maybe some of you have all the confidence in the world, but I was not that type of teenager. I again, like I sort of applied on a whim because I thought I could use some money to take tap class. But I didn't think like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be the best person here. And I was suddenly really insecure and really humbled by it. And honestly, I was humbled by it while applying. I'm glad I didn't know more about it to some extent because I think maybe I would have not applied. But I want to say that like you are definitely worthy of applying to YoungArts, and what you're doing is worthy of that investment and that sort of commitment, and say, yes, this is where I am. This is where I am in my journey. I'm a good enough dancer. It's worth it for me to put myself out there and apply. That being said, one of the questions in the chat was, if you apply 1 year and get something like honorable mention or merit, can you apply again in hopes of achieving a higher level of recognition? The answer is yes. Of course, if you turn 19 before the time comes to apply for the next year, that means you're no longer eligible for YoungArts. Then you have to go to slightly less YoungArts, which is a completely different foundation. I'm making a joke. No, but I think you can definitely apply again. I know so many people who have applied when they were 15 and didn't get recognition and applied the next year and did receive recognition, or they applied 1 year, received a certain level of recognition, and the next year applied again. They were a year stronger and wiser and had taken more class and were more invested and achieved a different level of recognition. So I hope that answers your question. I would encourage you, if you're feeling like, I don't know if I'm ready yet, I would just go ahead and just apply and apply and apply again. And honestly, we all love little creative assignments. See this as a nice little creative assignment to motivate you during the summer, because I know you're not going to wait until October 15th to do this application. You're definitely not. You're so not. You're going to do it like next week or something. Anyway, I see Neidra wants to say something. Yeah, go ahead, Neidra.
Just wanted to add to that, as a past winner, if you won as an honorable mention or a merit and you're eligible to reapply for the next cycle, you as a past winner get the benefit of automatically advancing to the panel level. That means that you bypass the other levels of adjudications and you go right to Vernon and the rest of the panel. So that is a benefit of being a past winner who can reapply again. Courtney?
I'm so sorry. One last question. Something that I see that my students struggle with the most is the technique solo. They're pretty confident in performing, but we have them try to choreograph both their technique and their performance solo, and Caleb, I heard that you did yours. So kudos to you for doing both of those. But most of them have not really had to put together, not taught a class or put something together in that way. Would you recommend them just staying kind of like a lecture dim? Like I start with, cramp rolls first. Is there an order that you would recommend with regard to that technique solo, or how should they tackle that? Should they go with someone choreographing that for them, a teacher choreographing that for them? And or I guess even bigger, how much weight does that technique solo hold over, say, their performance solo? If their technique solo is really weak, but they have a really strong performance solo, could that potentially help them in the long run? Thank you.
Oh no, please, Vernon, go ahead.
Well, I mean, when you say their technique is weak, I mean, I think you mean the technique video is weak, not their actual technique. Okay, great. Just wanted to make sure I understood. We don't have a clearly, because art is subjective and beautiful and wonderful, we don't have an absolute percentage of the performance solo is 80% and this is 20%. We don't do it that way because there's so many variables that come up. But I would tend to say that if we're seeing you really well in the performance solo, that would have a little bit more weight than if you were absolutely wonderful in the technique and then the solo fell flat or something, because that solo is what we are we want to see this solo that we want to see in person, right? So if you fall down on the performative solo, it's kind of tricky, but I will say that there have been times more than once that issue was in play, and we kept going back to whichever the video that was down for us in the beginning to just take a really good look. And that's what I love about this particular panel, because I've been in a couple of iterations of the panel. As I said earlier, we really want to be inclusive. And there was one year that the first time we watched this young man's videos, we passed. We didn't think, for whatever the reasons were at that time. But by the end of the several days that we're doing it, that guy was still in our heads. And we went back and we looked at it again and we had more discussion and we brought him in, and he ended up being the top winner that year. So he had come from this place where that we were unsure, but there was something there that made us go back to him. And then he became one of the top winners. So I just say that to say that, we're looking for that spark in you, as well as all of the technique and the determination and the devotion too. And you become a part of this family, as everyone has said. And I just got a text just yesterday of a young man that was, it was at least 4 years ago, because he was not in college. He went through all of college, and I followed him along the way because he's in New York and I'm in New York. And then he got an internship, and now he just became a formal member of the Mark Morris Dance Company. So, this is not tap, but this is a story that makes me very happy that, these are winners. We follow them along the way, and that it's rewarding for me. And I'm glad that he, picked me out to help mentor him along the way. So I look forward to seeing all of your faces and tap skills.
Yeah, and I just want to second Vernon sort of hit it on the head, that there are many different ways to answer the prompt of tap technique. I'm sure you've all taken tap technique classes, and one tap technique class is like exclusively improv, and the next one is exclusively Condos Brothers rudiments, and the next class is exclusively relaxed ankle technique. And that's just kind of how tap dance is, and that's what we like about it. And I think, just to also affirm Courtney, I think if a technique video includes a ton of wings, great. If it doesn't, but represents other facets of tap dance technique in terms of relaxed ankle technique or pullbacks or really just beautiful, clean, clear cramp rolls and paddle and rolls and sort of turning exercises, I think that's all acceptable. No one is going to say, well, that was a really great technique video. It was in time. It was clear. It showed their artistry, but it didn't have wings. So negative points. I should also say that Vernon and the rest of the folks on the adjudication panel who review this have been looking at these videos for a really long time. They spend a lot of time with the videos, and they've also been doing this for years. There are people on the panel who are not tap dancers by trade, and there are people on the panel who are tap dancers by trade. So it's not like when you go to a dance competition, like I'm talking competition, and a whole bunch of hip hop and ballet dancers are looking at you and saying, you should point your feet, and you're saying that's not how tap dance works. You don't point your feet in tap dance. You won't have to have that frustration. The people who are looking at this know what good tap dance looks like, and will see your tap dance technique and your artistry for what it is.
I'll also add that idea between the technique and the performance. I think we also want to see a relationship between the two, so that it's like your technique, you're using whatever the technique is that you put forth, you kind of use it. And that's not to say you have to have each and every step. I don't mean that. It's just kind of a theme that, of you, that we can see a relationship between the two. Yeah.
Cool. Oh, everyone's so friendly. See, tap dancers are the best. They're great.
No bias.
None at all. Absolutely none.
None at all.
None at all.
Thank you all for joining. We'll see you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, everyone.